this is Lucky Robin, and this is update 2 for the French Biointensive Organic Raised Bed Garden. I am in Northwest Washington in Zone 7B. I've got some plants today that are going in. It is so nice to be able to do this. Just got some kale, chard, broccoli, sunflowers, snow peas, or possibly snap peas, I don't remember. I've got 2 types of lettuce, some dinosaur kale, and some onions and green onions. Alright, so I'm putting the peas in the end of the onion bed just because this bed is going to be tied up all summer. And the peas get done, well, the peas are halfway done about the time that I want to be planting other things. So if I were to put them in another bed, they'd be in the way. And I'm just going to put these on the far side of these trellises. So they'll be tempted to grab the vines, but not really to grab anything on the other side of the peas. So these are sugar snap. And I'm going to be planting, I just got 2 4-inch pots. I don't like the way they freeze, so we're just going to have them for fresh eating this year. So we don't need a ton. And these are very moist, so they're coming apart easily. I'm not just pulling them, like yanking them apart like it might look. And I got all of my plants from Joe's Garden. It's a nice little local farm in the city, actually, that provides the majority of the plant starts for the county. Well, not the big box stores, but everyone else. Alright, so hopefully in a couple days we'll see these grabbing on and they'll start growing up the trellis. Nice. Oh, the mint's gotten bigger. I gotta get this weeded out though. And then also I'll show you what I got on the tomatoes and bell peppers and regular peppers. I'm not really ready to plant these for another couple weeks. I don't think. I might jump the gun, but that really depends on the forecast. Usually I don't like to put the peppers and the tomatoes in the ground till May 1st. But we've had nice warm early springs before where I have done it, and we've had cruddy springs where I've done it, and it does its best when I wait at least until the last week of April, first week of May. So I picked out Oregon Spring Tomato, Joe's Best Medium Tomato. I know that sounds like a boring name, but they do really well. A large yellow, which is probably a descendant of Lillian's, and then a San Marzano Roma type tomato. And then I got one early jalapeno, a North Star Bell, a Red Beauty Bell, Super Cayenne, because I make my own cayenne powder, a Golden Bell. I know you can't probably see these. A Snack Orange, and Long Italian Red Thunderbolt, which is not hot. It's sweet. So So these little guys will come in at night for the next week or so and out during the day. And so they can get nice sunlight and thrive, but not risk getting too cold at night. Okay, so the lettuce is going to go in next to the blood vein sorrel down here. Most years I alternate so it makes a pattern, but because this lettuce is so much smaller than this lettuce, I'm not going to do that. Now I plant biointensively, so these will be a little bit closer together than a standard garden. I'm just going to take and snug that soil up against the roots. And we tossed a bunch of snails to the ducks the other day. I'm hoping that I got the majority of them out of here so the lettuce has a chance. They have been snacking on the volunteer spinach a little bit, but not much. So that's why I knew they were in here. It's always slugs and snails. These are a black snail with yellow markings. No idea what it is, but it isn't welcome in here, and the ducks love them. Okay, so this is red bib lettuce. I find myself moving away from the romaine red. It's not as tasty, definitely not as tasty as the green, but I don't know, it seems like it gets tough a lot faster. Now this is not as intensive as some people might plant it either, but I'm not one that just cuts. I tend to just take from the outside leaves. And people that do the big shearing and have it grow back, they tend to plant just a little bit closer than this when they're doing intensive. I know I should have my gloves on, but sometimes you just want to get your hands in the dirt. And this is Joe's Best Green Leaf. They've developed a lot of plants that are really well suited for the area. And you can see how my volunteer spinach is doing pretty well. Hopefully you can't hear that. The neighbors are doing something very noisy. Possibly a wood chipper. Now I got bright light Swiss chard. That way I can get a variety of colors. They do sell just the red and just the gold, but they don't sell just the orange. And they do sell just the green, but I like to have the orange. So And this is more for feeding the ducks. I don't really care for the chard, but the ducks absolutely love it, and the rabbits do too, actually. And this is going to be pretty intensively planted, just because these probably all aren't going to make it. And I actually got a pot that didn't have as many in it as some, because quite a few of these will still make it, but I didn't want to have to deal with a whole bunch of other ones. I have troubles throwing out extra seedlings. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. And if I need to, I can dig them up and separate them more once they're bigger, because these are going to get quite large. We'll just see what makes it and what doesn't. I did not do any of my seeds. I did not start anything from seeds this year. I will plant my green beans from seeds, but not for another couple weeks. And I'll probably plant the zucchini and the summer squash from seeds as well. Alright, so I'm putting the ring of fire sunflowers in a tomato cage because we get a lot of wind here. And I just want to make sure that if we do, these poor things don't get blown over when they're bigger. It's just a little bit of added protection for the base of the stalk. Looks like I'm going to have to harvest the parsley pretty soon, at least the big one. And I've got to get some more soil put into this bed before I actually get everything transplanted that I want to transplant. I'm going to put my green onions over here away from the rest of the onions just because they're for salads and stuff. And that's just because I want to have all my salad stuff in one bed together. Well, not all of it. The kale won't go in here. But the radishes will when I plant those. Those will be another thing, obviously, that have to be planted from seed. Alright, so I just take these out and I separate them into clumps, similar to how I did with the peas. Just about the amount I think I'll use at a time. So probably 5 to 6 per bunch. And you just want to try and plant them at the same level they were planted in the pot in. And sometimes these roots get really tangled up together, so you want to make sure that it's really nice and wet. They'll come apart a lot easier. But if you have to, you can get a dish pad and put water in it, and then you swirl the roots around in the water, and then they'll come apart a lot easier that way. So you can see it's really quite easy. These are green banner bunching onions. So So these ones, sometimes I'll plant regular onions and use them as green onions, but these ones are specifically made to be bunching onions, so they like to be up close to each other. But sometimes you just want that little bit of a different flavor. So I'll do red onions as spring onions, or scallions rather. Spring onions are bigger. I know a lot of people use the terms interchangeably. But they're really not the same thing. Alright, and that's the green onions done. I wish I'd had the energy to start my own seeds, but as you all know, I had a really hard winter and a hard early spring. I seem to be doing somewhat better now. I've been able to do the gardening, which, you know, I might not have been able to do even a month ago because the rheumatoid arthritis was acting up so badly. So I'm really happy that I'm able to get this done. Being out in the garden just makes me a happier person all around. Alright, well that's all I'm going to plant today, but I'll take you around and show you how the rest of the garden's doing. So you can see the blood vein sorrel is going gangbusters, and although there's been some yellowing on the onions I transplanted, they're all still doing pretty good. Look how much the bee balm's grown in just a week. We've got to get this dug out before it gets much bigger. See, I showed you the parsley already, but the anemones are really putting out flowers now. Let's deadhead that one. And these have not started to open yet. Oh, the ducks heard me finally. Well, we'll pick some sorrel for them. This stuff will come back real easy, so I can pick it pretty close to the, in a way that might devastate another plant. This one just seems to thrive on being put close. Hi guys! Hi! Are you happy? Yes, you are. So I'll just leave the boxes of the other transplants out here. You know, I did get one of the strawberry beds done and the 2 large bins done. These 2 strawberry beds still need to be weeded, and we still need to weed eat the outside, and this flower bed needs to be taken care of. But you can see I got the echinacea, the old growth off, and you can see how it's coming up on the yarrow. And look at the rosemary, isn't it beautiful? The thyme, both of them are putting out new growth. I want to get this transplanted out of here. And the oregano is coming up. I believe that's marjoram, and that's dwarf oregano, and then that's the lavender. Got the hyssop all trimmed down. These are my crazy volunteer carrots. Oh, I need to get these horsetails out. They do not belong in here. Now I've pulled out a couple of the kale, and there's just a few more that I'm feeding to the ducks a little bit at a time. So not too much of a difference from last week's update, but stuff is starting to really come. So I'm happy for that, and I did get stuff planted, which I'm also very happy for. All right, talk to you next week.